Triller 7 was a desolate mining colony on the edge of human space. Its rocky plains stretched endlessly under a burnt orange sky, punctuated by jagged outcroppings and deep mining pits. Life there was harsh, a mix of relentless work shifts and survival in an unforgiving environment. Corporal Sam Vallon had never signed up for glory. His job was to keep the equipment running, the settlers calm, and himself sane. Another long day of fixing busted machinery had just ended when the ground began to tremble. Sam barely had time to grab the railing of a catwalk before a deafening rumble shook the mining site. Below him, miners scrambled to flee as a section of the pit collapsed, revealing a strange crystalline structure that shimmered with an unnatural light. "What the hell is that?" Sam muttered, adjusting his visor to get a better look. A faint hum emanated from the crystal, almost musical but deeply unsettling. As miners gathered around, one of them, an older man named Harris, reached out to touch the crystal. "Don't dash!" Sam shouted, but it was too late. The moment Harris's gloved hand made contact, a beam of green light shot skyward, splitting the clouds above. "What did you do?" another miner yelled, backing away. Alarms blared as the settlers hurried toward their shelters. Sam grabbed the comm on his belt. "This is Corporal Vallon. Something's happening at the main site. We need a full lockdown. And maybe backup." The light faded as quickly as it had appeared, leaving an eerie silence in its wake. Sam descended into the pit cautiously, his heart pounding. The crystal was still there, but it now pulsed faintly, as if alive. Before Sam could investigate further, a shadow loomed over the site. The settlers looked up, their murmurs turning to screams as a colossal figure emerged on the horizon. It was a creature unlike anything they had seen, a massive, insectoid alien, standing nearly 3 meters tall, with jagged black carapace glinting in the dim light. Its elongated arms ended in razor-sharp claws, and its 6 glowing green eyes scanned the area. Soldiers stationed at the colony reacted instinctively, raising their rifles. "Hold your fire!" Sam shouted, but his voice was drowned out by the crack of gunfire. The bullets ricocheted harmlessly off the alien's carapace. It raised one clawed arm, a low, resonating growl vibrating through the air. The soldiers scrambled to reload, panic overtaking them. "Stop shooting!" Sam yelled again, jumping between the alien and the soldiers. He dropped his wrench and raised his arms high. "It's not attacking us." The alien stopped moving, its glowing eyes narrowing on Sam. For a moment, everything seemed frozen in time. Sam swallowed hard, his mouth dry. "Can you understand me?" he asked, his voice steady despite the fear curling in his gut. The alien tilted its head, mandibles clicking softly. Then, it moved to the ground and began tracing symbols in the dirt with one of its claws. Circles, arrows, and strange glyphs emerged. The settlers watched from a safe distance, whispering nervously. "It's trying to talk," Sam realized aloud. Behind him, Captain Rourke pushed forward, his face red with anger. "Vallon, get back. That thing's dangerous." "It hasn't attacked anyone," Sam shot back, refusing to budge. "Look at it, it's trying to communicate." Rourke scowled but held his fire, motioning for the soldiers to lower their weapons. Sam knelt by the alien's symbols, his brain racing to make sense of the markings. The alien clicked its mandibles again, then pointed at the crystal. "You want the crystal?" Sam asked, glancing between the alien and the artifact. The creature tapped the dirt emphatically, then drew a jagged line through one of the symbols. Sam frowned. "No, not want. Protect," he guessed. The alien's mandibles clicked in what might have been agreement. It stood upright, towering over Sam, but made no move to harm him. "This isn't an invasion," Sam said, turning to Rourke. "It's here for the crystal. And how do you know it won't kill us all the second we give it what it wants?" Rourke demanded. "I don't," Sam admitted. "But I'm willing to find out." Roar growled in frustration but waved his men back. This is on you, Valen. If it turns hostile, it's your head. Sam ignored the threat, focusing on the alien. Slowly, he extended a hand. I'll help you, he said, unsure if the alien understood but feeling the need to bridge the gap. The alien regarded him for a long moment, then raised one massive claw and placed it gently over Sam's outstretched hand. Its carapace was cool and smooth to the touch, its strength evident but controlled. For the first time since the encounter began, Sam exhaled a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. Whatever this creature was, it wasn't here to destroy. At least, not yet. I guess we're going to figure this out together, Sam said softly. The settlers remained uneasy, but as Sam stood beside the alien, the spark of trust between them was undeniable. The mining facility's abandoned Sector 9 was the perfect hiding spot for Tharlok, the giant insectoid alien warrior. The area had been shut down after a toxic gas leak rendered it unusable for human operations, but Sam Valen knew it was safe enough for his new ally. Here, among the shadows of rusting machinery and half-collapsed tunnels, Sam began piecing together the alien story. Tharlok crouched in the dim light, his enormous frame hunched over a scattering of objects. Using his claws, he etched shapes into the dirt floor. Sam knelt beside him, studying the symbols. Communication was slow, painfully so, but Sam was determined to learn. Okay, Sam said, pointing at the first symbol Tharlok had drawn, a jagged oval surrounded by smaller shapes. This is your world? Tharlok clicked his mandibles and nodded once, his 6 glowing eyes fixed on Sam. He moved to the next drawing, a series of spiraling lines intersected by harsh, angular slashes. Sam frowned. A war, he guessed. Tharlok let out a low rumble, a sound Sam had come to interpret as approval. The alien touched the center of the war symbol and then pointed to himself. His claws traced a circle around his body, then slashed through it, the motion filled with an unmistakable grief. Sam felt a lump form in his throat. You're the last of your kind, he said softly. Tharlok's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sound that carried a strange, mournful rhythm. He turned to the artifact resting on the ground between them. Its crystalline surface shimmered faintly, pulsing like a heartbeat. Tharlok placed one claw delicately on the artifact, then touched his chest. This thing. It's important to your people, Sam mused. Sacred, maybe? Or a weapon? Tharlok shook his head at the last word, his movements sharp and deliberate. He drew another set of symbols, a star, a planet, and a beam of light connecting the two. Then he pointed at the artifact again. Not a weapon, Sam muttered, piecing it together. A beacon? Tharlok's rumble of approval confirmed it. The artifact wasn't just a relic, it had called him here. But why? Sam was no scientist, just a maintenance officer with a knack for problem solving. Still, he couldn't shake the feeling that this artifact was far more than even Tharlok let on. The warrior's pain that night, Sam brought supplies to Tharlok, nutrient bars, water, and a blanket he doubted the alien needed but offered anyway. As Tharlok consumed the food with surprising care, Sam leaned against a rusted wall, watching the alien in the dim light. You know, Sam began, breaking the silence, it must be awful, being the last of your people. I can't imagine what that's like. Tharlok paused mid-bite, his mandibles twitching. Slowly, he set the food aside and retrieved the artifact. With a soft click, he activated it. A beam of light shot upward, coalescing into a shimmering hologram. Sam leaned forward, transfixed. The hologram depicted a lush world bathed in golden light. Towering crystalline spires dotted the landscape, and smaller versions of Tharlok moved gracefully through the scene. Their movements were purposeful, almost elegant, as they carried objects resembling the artifact. It's beautiful, Sam whispered. The hologram shifted. The golden light darkened as massive ships descended from the skies. The crystalline spires shattered under heavy bombardment. Sam flinched as the image showed Tharlok's people fighting back with weapons that seemed primitive compared to their attackers. One by one, they fell. When the hologram ended, Tharlok slumped against the wall, his claw resting on the artifact as if drawing strength from it. The room felt unbearably heavy. "I'm sorry," Sam said after a long pause. "You've lost everything, haven't you?" Tharlok clicked softly, almost a whisper. He raised his claw to his chest, tapping it twice before pointing at Sam. "You think I understand?" Sam asked. He let out a hollow laugh. "I'm just a guy trying to keep machines from breaking down. I don't even know what I'm doing half the time." Tharlok's glowing eyes studied him intently. Then he drew another symbol, a circle with two intersecting lines. He tapped the center of the symbol and then pointed to Sam again. Sam frowned. "Me? I'm at the center of this?" Tharlok didn't respond, but the weight of his gaze was answer enough. The alien saw something in Sam that Sam wasn't sure he saw in himself. Rising tensions. The next morning, whispers about Sam's interactions with the alien began circulating among the settlers. Someone had spotted him carrying supplies towards Sector 9, and word spread quickly. At the barracks, Captain Rourke confronted him. "What exactly do you think you're doing, Valen?" "Helping someone in need," Sam replied, his tone defiant. "Helping?" Rourke spat. "That thing's an invader. It could wipe us out in an instant." "It hasn't," Sam said. "And it won't, as long as we don't provoke it." Rourke narrowed his eyes. "You're risking all our lives, Valen. You think you're some kind of hero? If this goes south, it's your head on the block." Sam stood his ground, even as unease rippled through him. Rourke wasn't entirely wrong. He didn't fully trust Tharlok, but his gut told him the alien wasn't a threat. Not to them. Later that day, Sam returned to Sector 9 to find Tharlok repairing a device from his ship. The alien paused, tilting his head as if sensing Sam's turmoil. "They're scared of you," Sam admitted. "They think you're going to turn on us." Tharlok clicked softly and pointed to the artifact. He drew another symbol, this one resembling a chain. Then he broke the chain with a slash of his claw. "You're not here to hurt us," Sam said, trying to translate. "You want to break the cycle? Stop what happened to your world from happening again." Tharlok clicked emphatically, his body language almost pleading. Sam sighed, running a hand through his hair. "Then we've got to make them understand. I just don't know how yet." Tharlok's gaze lingered on him, filled with something Sam could only describe as hope. In that moment, he realized the burden Tharlok carried wasn't just his own, it was a weight meant to protect countless others. Sam nodded. "We'll figure it out. Together." The fragile balance between trust and fear in the mining colony of Triller 7 shattered when a patrol disappeared near Sector 9. Captain Rourke didn't hesitate to blame Tharlok, despite Sam Valen's insistence that the alien warrior wasn't responsible. The settlers, already on edge, clamored for immediate action. "We can't sit around and wait for that thing to kill us all," one miner shouted during an emergency town hall. His sentiment was echoed by murmurs of agreement throughout the crowd. Sam stood at the center of the gathering, feeling like a lone voice of reason. Tharlok didn't attack anyone. He's trying to protect something bigger than this colony. "Protect what?" Rourke snapped, his tone sharp with derision. "That artifact you've been cozying up to? You've seen the power that thing emits. For all we know, it's a weapon, and you're handing it over to him on a silver platter." "It's not a weapon," Sam said firmly. "It's a beacon. He's not here to hurt us, he's here to make sure no one else does." Rourke folded his arms, glaring down at Sam. "You're putting us all at risk for an alien you don't even know." Sam met his gaze, unwavering. "I know enough. He hasn't hurt anyone, despite the way we've treated him. He's only fought back when provoked." The captain turned to the settlers. I'm not willing to gamble our lives on a theory. We have a missing patrol and a hostile alien hiding in our backyard. We're taking it out tonight. A desperate warning. Sam's heart pounded as he sprinted through the darkened corridors of the colony's perimeter. He had one chance to stop the massacre. If Rourke's strike team reached Tharlok first, the alien would have no choice but to defend himself, and the settlers would brand him a monster forever. Reaching Sector 9, Sam found Tharlok tinkering with his damaged escape vessel. The alien glanced up as Sam burst into the chamber, his breathing ragged. "They're coming for you," Sam said between gasps. "A strike team. Armed to the teeth." Tharlok's glowing eyes narrowed, and he clicked his mandibles. His massive claws flexed as if bracing for a fight, but he didn't rise. Sam held up his hands. "Don't. If you kill them, they'll never see you as anything but a threat." Tharlok tilted his head, his gaze steady on Sam. Then he turned to the artifact resting beside him and gestured to it, followed by a symbol in the dirt, a spiral surrounded by smaller circles. Sam frowned. "You're saying, if they take the artifact, something worse will come?" Tharlok nodded, his movements deliberate. He then drew a jagged slash through the spiral, followed by the symbol for death. "They'll bring destruction here," Sam whispered. "Just like your world." Tharlok placed a claw on Sam's chest, clicking softly, before stepping back and picking up the artifact. The message was clear. He was ready to leave, to take the threat with him. "No," Sam said, shaking his head. "I'm not letting you face this alone." Tharlok regarded him for a long moment, then clicked in reluctant agreement. He gestured for Sam to follow as he moved deeper into the tunnels. The alien was leading him somewhere, but where, Sam had no idea. The strike team arrives. Rourke's strike team entered Sector 9 with weapons drawn and flashlights cutting through the shadows. The air was thick with tension and the faint, metallic scent of decay from the abandoned tunnels. "Stay alert," Rourke ordered, his voice low. "The thing's been spotted here. Shoot on sight." The soldiers moved methodically, sweeping every corner. One of them paused near a pile of machinery, squinting into the darkness. "Captain, I've got dash." A sudden burst of movement silenced him. Tharlok lunged from the shadows, his claws sweeping low. The soldier cried out as his weapon was wrenched from his grasp, but Tharlok didn't deliver a killing blow. Instead, he hurled the weapon aside and stepped back, his stance defensive. "He's not attacking." Sam's voice echoed through the chamber as he emerged from the shadows. "He's only defending himself." "Valen, get out of the way!" Rourke shouted, his rifle trained on Tharlok. "No!" Sam stood between the soldiers and the alien. "He hasn't killed anyone, and he won't if you stop treating him like an enemy." "Tell that to the missing patrol," Rourke snapped. "They're not missing because of him." Sam retorted. "If you'd listen for 2 seconds, you'd realize there's more going on here than you understand." Tharlok clicked his mandibles sharply, drawing the soldiers' attention. Slowly, he placed the artifact on the ground between them and stepped back. His posture conveyed an unspoken message, a gesture of trust. The artifact pulsed faintly, casting an eerie green light across the chamber. The soldiers hesitated, their weapons wavering. Even Rourke seemed momentarily unsure. "What is that thing?" one of the soldiers muttered. "It's the reason he's here," Sam said, his voice steady. "It's not a weapon, it's a key. And if we destroy it or let it fall into the wrong hands, it'll bring something far worse to Triller 7. Rourke sneered. "And we're just supposed to take your word for it?" "You don't have to," Sam replied. "But look at him. If he wanted us dead, he could have killed us all a long time ago." The soldiers exchanged uncertain glances, the tension in the room thick enough to cut with a knife. Rourke's fingers tightened on the trigger, his expression hard. "I don't trust it. Or you." Before Rourke could fire, the ground beneath them trembled. Dust rained from the ceiling as a distant, mechanical hum grew louder. Tharlok immediately crouched low, his eyes darting toward the tunnel's entrance. "What now?" Rourke growled. Tharlok turned to Sam, his mandibles clicking rapidly. The alien's urgency was unmistakable. "They're here," Sam said, his voice hollow. "Whoever destroyed his world, they're coming for the artifact." As if on cue, a deafening roar echoed through the tunnels, followed by the distant clatter of metallic footsteps. The soldiers froze, their fear palpable. Rourke lowered his weapon slightly, his face pale. "What the hell is that?" Tharlok straightened to his full height, his claws flexing. Despite his wounds and exhaustion, he looked every bit the warrior he was, a protector standing between the settlers and an oncoming threat. Sam turned to the soldiers. "You don't have to trust him. But right now, he's our best chance at surviving this." For once, Rourke didn't argue. Instead, he motioned for his team to fall back and regroup. As the footsteps grew louder, Sam stood beside Tharlok, his heart racing. "We're not going down without a fight," he said. Tharlok clicked softly, a sound that almost resembled approval. The alien warrior braced himself, ready to defend the people who feared him and the human who dared to believe in him. The mechanical hum reverberating through the tunnels of Sector 9 grew deafening as the enemy forces approached. Their footsteps clattered like drumbeats, a metallic march of precision and menace. Sam Vallon stood shoulder to shoulder with Tharlok, the towering alien warrior. Behind them, Captain Rourke and his team scrambled to set up defensive positions, their fear barely hidden beneath a thin veneer of military discipline. "They're here for the artifact," Sam said, his voice steady despite the growing tension. "We can't let them have it." Tharlok clicked his mandibles and drew a claw across the dirt, creating a series of urgent symbols. Sam crouched down, trying to decipher the alien's message. "Divide. Distract." Sam murmured, piecing it together. Tharlok was outlining a plan. "You want to lead them away from the colony?" Tharlok rumbled in agreement and touched the artifact reverently. Then he pointed at Sam, the message clear: "Protect this." Sam shook his head. "No. We do this together." Tharlok stared at him for a long moment before giving a sharp nod. He picked up the artifact and secured it in a compartment on his armored torso. The pulsing green light dimmed as if the artifact understood the gravity of the moment. The enemy revealed. The first enemy unit burst into view, its sleek metallic form glinting in the faint light of the tunnel. It was a drone, spindly and insectoid, much like Tharlok but mechanical. Its glowing red eyes locked onto the group, and a piercing shriek echoed from its audio receptors. "Open fire!" Rourke shouted. Bullets ricocheted off the drone's metallic plating, leaving little more than scratches. The machine charged, swiping at a soldier with razor-sharp limbs. Before it could land a killing blow, Tharlok roared and lunged forward, his claws slicing cleanly through the drone's midsection. Sparks flew as the machine collapsed in a heap. The victory was short-lived. More drones flooded the tunnel, their numbers overwhelming. Tharlok moved with impossible speed, tearing through the machines with an efficiency born of experience. But even he couldn't be everywhere at once. "We're outnumbered!" Rourke yelled, reloading his weapon. "Fall back to the colony." "No!" Sam shouted. "If we lead them back, they'll destroy everything. We fight here." Tharlok slammed a drone into the wall, its body crumpling like tin. He turned to Sam and clicked rapidly, his meaning clear. "Go. I'll hold them." "Not a chance," Sam said, grabbing a discarded energy weapon from a fallen soldier. "I'm not leaving you." A stand against the odds, the tunnels became a war zone. Tharlok fought like a force of nature, his claws ripping through drones as if they were paper. Sam supported him as best he could, firing at any drone that slipped past the alien warrior. The soldiers, emboldened by Tharlok's ferocity, began to rally. But the drones kept coming. "Captain," a soldier called. "Something's coming through the breach." From the darkness emerged a massive machine, towering even over Tharlok. It was a battle droid, heavily armored and bristling with weaponry. Its mechanical voice boomed through the tunnel. "Relinquish the artifact, or be annihilated." Tharlok roared in defiance and charged, his claws sparking against the droid's thick armor. The droid retaliated with a devastating strike that sent the alien crashing into a wall. Sam felt his stomach drop as Tharlok struggled to rise, blood oozing from cracks in his carapace. "Tharlok!" Sam yelled, rushing to his side. The alien gestured weakly toward the artifact compartment, his clicks urgent. Sam understood, the artifact must survive. "No," Sam said, his voice breaking. "We can do this together. You're not dying here." Tharlok growled softly, his glowing eyes locking onto Sam. With a surge of strength, he stood and faced the droid once more. He turned to Sam and uttered a single word in his guttural voice, "Friend." "The sacrifice." Tharlok lunged at the droid, his claws sinking into its arm joints. The massive machine stumbled, but it was far from defeated. Tharlok turned to Sam and pointed toward a nearby control panel. "Sam!" Rourke shouted. "That panel controls the tunnel supports. If you overload it, you'll bring the whole place down." Sam hesitated, torn between his loyalty to Tharlok and the lives of everyone in the colony. Tharlok made the choice for him. With one final roar, he slammed the droid into the support pillar, holding it in place. Tears blurred Sam's vision as he raced to the control panel. "I'm sorry," he whispered, pulling the lever. The tunnel shook violently as the supports gave way. Rocks and debris rained down, burying Tharlok and the droid in an avalanche of destruction. The remaining drones faltered, their connection to the droid severed. The battle was over. The aftermath. The settlers emerged from their shelters cautiously, their faces pale and weary. Sam stood at the edge of the collapsed tunnel, his hands clenched into fists. The weight of what had happened crushed him like the rubble beneath his feet. Rourke approached, his expression uncharacteristically solemn. "He saved us," he said quietly. "I didn't think it was possible, but he did." Sam nodded, his throat tight. "He didn't just save us. He gave us a chance to be better." Later, Sam returned to the site with a group of miners. Together, they unearthed what remained of Tharlok. They found his battered body, still clutching the artifact. Though he was gone, the glow of the artifact pulsed faintly, as if honoring his sacrifice. The settlers built a monument at the site, using the artifact as its centerpiece. It stood as a symbol of unity, courage, and the bond between two unlikely allies. Epilogue. Months later, Sam visited the monument, now surrounded by flowers and offerings from the settlers. He placed his hand on the artifact, its faint hum filling the air. "I don't know if you can hear me," Sam said softly, "but I kept my promise. They're safe, and they'll remember you." The artifact pulsed gently under his touch, and for a brief moment, Sam swore he heard Tharlok's rumbling voice echo in his mind, "Friend." "Brave." Sam smiled, his heart heavy but full of pride. The legend of Tharlok, the alien warrior who gave everything to protect a world not his own, would live on forever.